So, how old are you?
I am 21 years old.
Do you consume craft beer?
I do.
Excellent. How often would you say you consume craft beer? From 0 to 1 days per week, 2 to 4 days per week, or 5 to 7 days per week? And for your knowledge, craft beer is defined as a brewer producing less than 6 million barrels of beer a year, independent and using traditional ingredients.
In that case, I would say one time a week, maybe something like that. Maybe two,
Okay,
1 to 2.
excellent. Um, do you consume macro brews, which would be a large national or international brewery that produces and distributes a sizable amount of beer?
I do.
How often would you say you consume macro brews? 2 to 4 days a week, 0 to 1, 5 to 7.
Roughly the same. Say about 1 to 2.
Okay.
If I have to give 2 to 4, maybe if I have to give a
Okay.
bracketed answer.
How much money would you say on average that you spend on beer per week? Just a rough dollar amount or
Maybe
range.
15. That seems $12 to $15.
Okay. So, what factors influence this amount? Your current income levels, your job, your drinking habits of your friends, seasonality.
Yeah, I would say current income, definitely. Bank account balance. Social agenda, depending on what I'm doing on weekends and stuff like that. Season definitely has stuff to do with it. I feel like summer I have more free time, so I'll end up having a beer a little more often. Yeah, I'd say that covers it.
Cool. What occasions would you say you typically drink beer in?
Bars, obviously. I would say socializing at nights, particularly on weekends. Um, Large social gatherings like, for instance, fraternity date parties. I don't know, pedal taverns, things of that nature.
Cool. So, is there any specific instance where you would prefer a craft beer or microbrew in any of those situations? So, like, would you find that you drink, you know, macro brews versus craft beers when you're having dinner or just like drinking in general?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, the titles kind of fit. I would say I drink micro brews in more micro situations. If it's a small get together, or I'm having dinner, or it's kind of like a casual night out, I would say I'm liable to spend a little more money on a little less beer and enjoy it a little more. But yeah, if I'm out looking to have a good time, I'm probably going to go towards the macro side of things.
Excellent. In these, what about these situations influences what choice your beer would be? Kind of just like another reiteration, if you want to go a little bit deeper. So basically, just
Yeah, I would say it's kind of my mindset. Uh, Not just to put it bluntly, I guess, if I'm looking to get drunk, I'm going to drink something that's pretty cheap. And if I'm looking for taste and, something to kind of sip on and not feel like I have to drink it quickly, not obligated to drink it, something that I can enjoy a little bit more, I'm going to go towards the micro side.
cool. So what type of beer would you typically buy at a bar?
I would say either macro, I'm not too particular, but if I'm going on the micro side, I would definitely order an IPA.
Okay. What are the most important factors to you when buying beer? Just rattle off a couple.
I would say um, the style of the beer, obviously, I prefer an IPA. Color of the beer, I usually prefer a little bit of a darker beer. Hoppiness, flavor. I'm not too particular on specific flavors, but I mean, I think everyone generally knows what kind of beer tastes good to them. Um, so yeah, for me, I've just kind of grown to like IPAs.
Cool. That's
So
perfect.
yeah, the more bitter, the better.
What would you be willing to pay for a 6 pack of craft beer?
I would say, I don't know, anywhere from like $8 to $12.
Okay. And then conversely, what would you be willing to pay for a 6-pack of a macro brew?
I would say no more than $6.
Okay. Moving right along. So what types of beer do you enjoy aside from an IPA? Just general lagers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I would say there isn't a beer that I don't like. Yeah.
Okay.
Pilsners, lagers are fine. Regular pale ales are also good. Got your occasional stout in there. Yeah, I'm not too particular. I like beer in general.
So what brands would you say that you enjoy the most?
Brands, I really like Lakefront. Anything that Bell's does. Probably makes my favorite beer, which is Two Hearted Ale. Let's see. Jackson, what's that Minnesota beer you had me try?
Greenbelt?
Greenbelt's got to be a micro. Yeah, Greenbelt's pretty
Greenbelt?
good.
Or Summit.
Summit, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Summit's pretty good.
That's fine, just a couple.
Yeah.
So what alcohol content would you prefer or expect for a craft beer, and then conversely for a micro beer, macro beer?
Obviously, micro alcohol content, I would expect a little bit higher, maybe the 6 to 8 range, and then macro probably 4 to 6, something like that.
Cool. So what areas do you typically buy beer from? The Midwest region, I would say.
Yeah, I would say mostly Midwest.
Midwest specific.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, is there any type of packaging or marketing that stands out to you when you see advertisements for beer?
Yeah, I mean, I would say especially on 6-packs. I'm not really looking for colors, but just an interesting design on your labels and bottles and packaging just never hurts. I guess I would use Two Hearted again as an example. They've just got a nice picture of a trout on there. It's just kind of faded a little bit. Looks good.
I agree. So would you say Bell's is your favorite brand of beer?
Yeah.
And then why would you say that?
Brewed in Michigan. I guess I got to be a little biased there. I've just never not liked a beer I've bought that they brew.
Cool.
Yeah.
So on a scale from 1 to 4, 1 being the most often, where do you typically purchase your beer from? Being a liquor store, convenience store, or gas station, a grocery store, or from the brewery itself?
I would say number 1 is definitely a liquor store. Number 2 is a grocery store. 3 would be a gas station, and 4 would be the brewery itself.
Cool. So could you talk a little bit more about your purchasing patterns? So, what do you typically just make specific trips to the liquor store, or, would you just say when you do your grocery shopping, I'll buy beer as well, or?
I mean, groceries is kind of a good comparison because I feel like I don't. It's usually just when I run out. Like if I'm going into a weekend and I have maybe 10 or 15 beers in the fridge, I won't be bolting to the liquor store. But if you notice you only have a few beers left, probably just run out and get some. Yeah, it's more of just like a stock thing, I would say, than kind of a set schedule.
Okay. So then, are there any certain brands of beer that you will not buy?
I freaking hate Old Style. It's watery. It just doesn't taste good. I don't know. I don't like it.
Okay. Cool. So what are the least appealing aspects of beer to you, just across the board? Anything that you find unappealing or you dislike about it?
Least appealing aspects. That's a tough question. I guess I would say its ability to lose the things that make it good so quickly. Like it can get warm and become flat pretty quickly if you're not on top of things, which just generally makes it less enjoyable to drink. So I guess it's once opened, it's kind of
Downhill.
yeah.
So when you hear the term craft beer, what brands come to mind?
craft beer.
Just like any brand, so Bell's obviously.
Yeah, I guess I would say Bell's,
Lakefront. You mentioned
Lakefront,
earlier.
Milwaukee. Yeah, I guess a lot of Milwaukee brands just because I live here.
Okay. So any specific beers particularly that come to mind when you hear the term craft beer? Like specific types from any of those brands?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Two Hearted Ale. I can't remember who makes Glacial IPA, but my parents keep that around a lot. It's really good. Nor'easter by Greenbelt's really good. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
No worries. So then what attributes do you associate with like Glacial IPA, Nor'easter, Grain Belt? What things do you find most appealing for those few beers that you listed?
I think they've got, I mean, most of them are IPAs. I get not Nor'easter, but most of them are IPAs. They've got a nice dark brown color to them. Good carbonation, not too flat, not too bubbly. Nice and bitter. Got a good hoppiness to them. Some minor flavor notes that I guess I'm not too experienced at picking out, but it just definitely improves the flavor of the beer. You can definitely notice them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So then, conversely, the opposite of that question, when you hear the term macro brew, what brands come to mind? And I'm sure there's a bunch, but just the first ones.
Miller, Coors, Budweiser.
Cool. So then, obviously, those are pretty much the specific beers like Miller High Life, Miller Coors, Coors Light. Like,
Yeah.
what beers would you say most often
Yeah.
come to mind? Okay. And then, what attributes do you associate with those types of beers, those more macro brews?
Definitely lighter, like more pilsners and kind of just generally kind of watery, not as well carbonated. In cans most of the time. Just not as enjoyable to drink, I guess I'd say overall.
And then, lastly, are there any types of promotions that would convince you to buy one brand over another? Like, buy one get something for free, or is your loyalty pretty much set in stone?
My loyalty's definitely not set in stone. Especially if I'm looking to buy a macro brew, I'll buy whatever's on sale within reason. Whatever gets me a T-shirt or like a free 6-pack, anything like that. But if I'm looking to buy micro brews, I'm not too influenced by much else other than preference. Maybe recommendations on that side of the spectrum would get me to buy something, try something new, but other than that, not too much else.
So then just one last follow-up question. So if your loyalty is not set particularly, especially when buying a 6-pack or getting a shirt or something, would you say that that's what part of the reason what drives you to purchase predominantly from liquor stores is those ability to get those free things that you wouldn't necessarily get at a grocery store?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. What are you paying this?
Hi, my name is Jake Weber. I'm doing my part for the marketing research project for Marquette Beer, and I have with me today Allison. Allison, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Do you consume craft beer?
I do.
Okay. Well, since you do, how often do you consume craft beer?
Probably about 2 to 4 days a week.
Okay. Would you say that you consume macro brews?
Yeah, I would say I do.
Okay. How often would you say that you consume macro brews?
Probably about the same as the other ones, so 2 to 4 days per
Okay,
week.
2 to 4 days. Cool. Very consistent. How much money would you say, on average, do you spend on beer per week?
Wow. Probably about $20 to $30.
$20 to $30?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so that's a lot of microbrews, huh?
It is. It's
Okay.
a lot.
All right. What factors would you say influence this amount?
Probably my friends, the income I get from my job I have. And I guess just depending on the week, if I have a high course load, I'll drink a lot. The amount of beer in my fridge.
If you have a high course load, you drink more.
If I'm, yeah, well, no.
So you're stressed
Well,
out.
If I'm stressed out, I will drink beer after I continue my studies, but not during, after.
Okay.
Like, it's like a way to, like, release the stress that I had. I'll drink. But not, like, too much, though, because that sounds bad.
Okay.
Also, I
Just
guess.
so we can get that on
Yeah.
camera.
Thank you.
That you don't drink during your coursework.
No, I don't. I
Okay.
don't.
Cool. All right.
Do you want me to? I also have other factors, too, if you want me to
Okay.
keep
Yeah.
going.
Let's hear those.
Probably the amount of beer I have in my fridge at the time.
Okay. So like current supply.
Yeah, my current supply. And probably the price when I go to the store. If it's cheap, I'll get a lot more than I usually
So
would.
like specials and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Okay. What occasions do you typically drink beer? I know you just said that when you have a lot of coursework, you typically like to indulge a little bit more. But maybe you can,
After the coursework.
strictly
though,
after,
remember
of
that.
course. But maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit more for us.
Yeah, when you're just out on the town with your friends, out to dinner, at the bars, with the family. It's always a good time to indulge.
Okay. What kind of beers do you purchase on those occasions?
I'd probably stick to the craft beers.
Okay. And you said you also like macro brews.
I
When
do.
you drink those in the same times or same locations?
I'd say those are more for the low key nights with the girls. Around the house after, on the weekends, of course, obviously.
What about these situations typically influence what your choice of beer would be between macro or craft?
Well, I guess if I'm out, if I'm not the one paying, like if I'm with my family, I tend to indulge probably, get something nicer, spend more money. If I'm paying, I'm definitely going to probably get the cheapest one there.
Okay.
It also, I guess, depends on how fast I'm drinking, the rate of consumption.
Okay.
So I'll stick to probably the macro beer when I do that.
So for the lower alcohol
Right.
content.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Which type of beer do you typically buy at a bar?
I would stick to usually Miller Lite.
Okay. So more of a macro brew
Yes,
kind of thing?
definitely.
Okay. All right. And then what would you say are the most important factors for you when you are purchasing beer?
Probably the price. I like a light beer taste. I don't like anything like thick or too strong, if beer is strong. My taste preference at the time, and probably where I currently am, because being from St. Louis, I would usually drink Budweiser products there. But here I stick to Miller products.
Interesting. Okay. So what price would you be willing to pay for a 6-pack of craft beer?
Probably around $10.
Okay. Nothing higher, nothing lower. Does anything about the price influence that, or?
If I'm splurging, maybe a little higher. If there's a sale, I'll go lower. I'm not really sticking too hard to that $10.
Okay, so that's just a rough estimate.
Yeah, definitely rough.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. What price would you be willing to pay for a 6-pack of a macro brew? Do you typically buy 6-packs of a macro brew?
Not necessarily. I probably would buy a larger because I would be drinking with friends or something, so everyone can indulge.
So you typically
drinking.
buy for your friends?
Not for my friends, but I could if I wanted to. But if I'm drinking with my friends, I will probably get more than just 6. And especially it'll last longer. So if there's a sale, I'll splurge and get the larger pack for the sale. That's all I got to say about that one.
All right. Well, so you mentioned flavor earlier as an important factor. Taking that into consideration, what types of beer would you say that you enjoy?
Well, I really am enjoying the season, so probably go with the fall ales, I'd say.
Okay, so maybe can you give me an example of one of those fall ales? Like a cider kind of a thing, maybe? Or...
Yeah, probably. Oh, I really do like the red apple ales. Those are really good. They have a little bit of a tang to them.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really good.
Okay, so, well, speaking of brands of beer, I guess.
Oh,
would you also mention Red's Apple Ale as
I definitely
a
would.
brand that
Yeah,
you'd stick to?
probably yes. That's definitely something I enjoy.
Okay. And this could factor into our next question. So you also mentioned alcohol content. I know Red's Apple Ale is a little bit stronger. What alcohol content do you prefer for a craft beer? Do you like that higher?
I would definitely probably
Similar
go
to
with the
Reds,
higher.
or-
Yeah, I would
okay.
do the higher, similar to a Reds.
Okay.
Then get more for your money's worth. I
Okay.
guess.
So, what alcohol content would you prefer for macro brew? Are you also on that higher alcohol
Yeah,
content
I
level?
would probably
or-
not really have a difference between the craft beer and the macro brew, so I'll probably just stick with like the 6%
Okay.
higher.
Interesting.
hmm
That's okay. All right. Well, moving on. So, do you think that location of where beer is produced is important to you? at all?
Yeah, I do because as I mentioned before, from St. Louis, all I drank before I came, when I was 21, was AB products, and now that I'm in Wisconsin, there's really not any of that is popular. So if I'm here, I drink Miller, but probably anywhere else, I'll stick to the Anheuser-Busch products.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that advertising is at all important in your choice of beer when purchasing? So that
Nah.
could be anything from packaging to
Oh.
ad campaigns that you've seen on TV.
No, I'm pretty set on the price. Ads don't so much make a difference to me as much as the price or the taste does.
Okay. So what would you say your favorite brand of beer is and why? You mentioned being from St. Louis, you love the Bud products.
I do.
But how about let's go from here, Milwaukee?
All right. Well, I tend to avoid other than like the Red's Apple, like any kind of fruity drinks or anything. Like I don't like the adventurous ones. I probably would just stick to all kinds of Miller products. Really,
Okay.
stick with what I know, kind of thing.
Okay. So more of a local gal. Would you quantify yourself as?
I would say that's accurate.
Okay. Well, that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So this next question is a ranking question.
Okay.
So of the following, please rank them from 1 to 4 where you most often purchase your beer from. The choices are liquor store, convenience store, gas station, your grocery store, or from your local brewery. What would you say is first? Most
Probably the convenience store and gas station, just because it's convenient, obviously.
often. Okay.
From there,
Convenience store. Convenient.
right?
Okay.
Obviously,
sure,
yeah.
Of course.
From there, I'd probably go with the liquor store. They have a variety there. Then I'd probably do the grocery store before the brewery, because I don't really I don't really find myself at breweries that often
Okay.
to buy beer, so it's probably would be my last choice.
Okay. So you already told us a little bit about your purchasing patterns, that you're typically in for the price. You like to buy for your friends sometimes. Are there any certain brands that you don't buy, and why? So you said, you mentioned in St. Louis you buy Bud. You wouldn't
Yeah.
buy Miller there? Or
Well, actually, I
elaborate,
tried this one recently. It was really gross. It's a new Wisconsin drink, and I believe it's pronounced Kul. It's Kul.
Okay.
I'm not really quite sure even how to pronounce it.
if you
it
had a
was just-
word to describe that beer,
Stale. It tasted stale.
just stale.
Just stale.
So just kind of yucky.
It was just gross. Yeah, it was not good.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. What are the least appealing aspects of beer for you?
Probably after you drink a beer, you feel really full. 'Cause sometimes I would drink while I'm eating, and that just defeats the purpose of eating to me.
Can you elaborate, please?
Like if you're drinking beer and you feel really full, and you're like, oh, I can't eat anymore because I drank so much beer.
But you want to eat more.
But you want, oh yeah, I love to
Okay.
eat. Hmm.
So it's not more of a you want to drink more. It's a,
No,
you
it's
wanna
I want to eat more, and then
Okay.
beer's just, or like if you're just hanging out and you just
For
feel
sure.
like you weigh like 1,000 pounds kind of thing.
Okay.
Because you drank like a beer and you're just like, whoa.
So would you say it's like a confidence thing?
No, just like
Just an enjoyment?
probably just like you're sitting around and you just feel like, when you just feel like a lump. That's what you feel like when you drink a lot of beer. You're just like, ugh.
In your belly?
Yeah, there's a lump in my
lump in
belly.
your belly.
Yes, there's a lump in my belly.
Okay. When you drink while you eat?
No, I mean both. Yes.
Both. When you eat and when you just drink beer? Or
Right, yeah.
it's a
When
combo?
if it's combo by itself, just that lumps there. I do
Alright.
have a few other complaints as well if you'd like to hear them.
Okay, well we're gonna gloss over those.
Okay.
That might be for the blooper section.
Okay, never mind.
Moving on from Allison's bump. When you hear the term craft beer, what brands come to mind?
Probably New Glarus.
Okay, more local for the local
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
Cool. Any specific beers within that brand?
I'm not quite. My beer knowledge isn't too up to par, but I believe Spotted Cow is one of them.
I think that's
Okay, yeah.
within the brand. Okay, we'll
yeah,
take it.
Awesome.
We'll note it down. That's
Cool.
great. What kind of attributes would you associate with each? Excuse me, Allison. What kind of attributes would you associate with each of the brands or favorite beers within those brands that you mentioned just now?
They definitely are flavor packed. Lots of flavor.
Flavor packed.
Lots of flavor.
So would you care to venture flavorful?
I could say that. Yeah, it's a good description.
Okay, cool. There's a lot of full going
I'm
around.
feeling real full, yeah.
Around this one. Okay, cool. All right, so beer and full. We'll take a look at that. When you hear the term macro brew, what brands come to mind? I think you mentioned before being from St. Louis, like a Budweiser.
Yep, that's definitely one, and then probably just from Milwaukee, Miller.
Okay. Interesting. What? Okay, now here we're talking about advertising. So, what type of promotions could convince you to buy one brand over another?
Probably if there's the prizes and drawings that you can win things, that's always fun to just
Okay.
enter that in. Sometimes you get coupons. I do like coupons as well. And some beers just really promote America. So you just picture America when you're drinking it. And that's just what I like to think of.
What about America do you typically like to think of when you're drinking beer?
Like the flag. Like horses. You picture them running in fields and stuff. That's like America.
That's what you think of when you think of America? And when you're drinking an American beer?
Yes,
Flags and
I
horses.
think of horses. Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what I
Any
think
particular type of horse?
of. Probably the Clydesdale.
Okay.
Very.
Large, proud, and strong.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
just like America.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Allison, I'd like to thank you on behalf of Marquette Beer. I think you've given us a lot of really good data, and unfortunately, we don't have any promotions to offer you right now. We have no
Oh.
coupons.
Oh.
We could probably refer you to Groupon. That might be
I
a good
don't-
thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Download
I
the
guess.
app. I'm not here for Groupon. I'm here for beer. But anyway,
Right.
so on that awesome ending note, thank you again so much.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is Jake Weber, and we're out with Allison. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And we're turning off the phone now.